Welcome into Bills Postgame Live. Maddy Glab alongside of Steve Tasker. We are presented by the divorce and estate planning law firm of Clark and Peshkin. A tough loss for the Bills. Final score of 29-25 against the Patriots. The Bills are now 4-3 on the season, 1-2 in the division through 7 weeks of play here. And the Bills go into the half down by 10, 13-3 is your score at the half. They were able to put some points on the scoreboard in the second half, make it a game. They get the 3-point lead with less than 2 minutes to go. The Patriots score. They have the lead. The Bills have 12 seconds left on the clock. Just not enough time to get something going, to get the win. So, Steve, what led us to this loss and really how things ended here for the Bills?
Yeah, it was tough for the Bills to move the football. Once again, the Bills got off to a slow start. Couldn't keep pace, gave up a 10-point lead to the Patriots, an offense that had been really struggling up to this point, and the Bills couldn't match them. They came out of the gate slow, couldn't get first downs, and I think a little bit of it was I thought the Bills' offensive line looked a little confused up front. They were letting free rushers go, and the Bills didn't have enough quick answers for it. Josh spent the entire day running away from a free rusher, which is something that teams have not done to the Bills of late. They don't want Josh running around back there. The Patriots took the exact opposite. They left a free guy. They made sure they had a free runner, if they could, on Josh, and the offensive line let one go once in a while and also just didn't have enough guys up front to pick up the extra man. It threw a wrench into the entire offensive works, and the Patriots covered the Bills up in the back end of their defense well enough so that they took Diggs away, they took Davis away, and Dalton Kincaid had some success, and that was what they were saying. Listen, if you're going to beat us with Dalton Kincaid, you can do that. But I think that's what the Patriots' idea was, to beat the Bills up front, make Josh get rid of the ball fast, and then see what they could do.
Heading into this one, Josh was one of the best quarterbacks against the blitz this season. Going into the game, had a 123 passer rating against the blitz, and was one of 4 quarterbacks with at least 5 passing touchdowns, 0 interceptions against the blitz. The Patriots chose to blitz a few times in this one and were able to get home to Josh Allen, cause some chaos for him. Dalton Kincaid finishes as the leading receiver, 75 receiving yards for him from 8 catches. Josh Allen standing by at the podium right now, so we're going to go right over to him.
Josh, another slow start for the offense. Can you pinpoint anything today?
Execution. Start off play 1, guy makes a good play, falls off on the bow route. I need to see him there. But yeah, it's not a good way to start a game.
When you say execution, Josh, I mean, you get to a point as an offense when you do execute. But it is kind of a pattern now within games where it's slow. Is it recognition of what defenses are doing? I don't want to put words in your mouth. What is it that's preventing you from getting to where you need to be earlier in games?
Well, I wish I knew the exact answer because we'd have it fixed by now. So I'm going to watch this film and find a way to get there, whatever it is. Our season's not over. It's a long season. I know it feels pretty bleak right now, but we're going to figure it out.
You all right? Your shoulder okay?
Yeah.
Did it affect you at all today? You looked a little off at times, I thought, but pain management, any of that a factor at all?
No, we're good to go.
You were pretty vocal this week about the offense and the play calling and everything. You are fully confident in the plan that you guys take when you go in on a day like today?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, guys.
Player Spotlight. It's presented by Microsoft Surface. Microsoft Surface is the official tablet and sideline technology of the Buffalo Bills, and today we are spotlighting James Cook for the job that he did in the rushing game and in the passing game end of things, catching passes from Josh Allen, that is. He had 3 catches for 46 receiving yards and a touchdown, 13 rushing attempts for 56 rushing yards. He averages 4.3 yards a carry. And at times when drives seem to be stalling, we heard Ken Dorsey talk about this team needs to sustain drives. We need to be confident in what we're calling and what we're doing. And James Cook was bringing that confidence at times, like lowering the shoulder, getting the extra yards for first downs, had a couple big plays as well. So Steve, why were you pleased with James Cook's presence in this one?
Well, just the fact that when they needed needed him, he was there.
Right.
This long play from Josh, who came, he ran the slant route and then curled it back out, saw Josh was rolling to his side, and he just broke it out. The touchdown was a nice run. He also had a couple of nice finishes on runs earlier in the game for a 3rd down conversion to 4th down, plowing his way past the sticks, which was a huge. This one right here is the one where he comes out. It looked like, well, this is the touchdown, which also was a great finish to one of his runs. I thought James Cook played extremely well. Had his best game of the season. And most of it was because of the crucial nature of the moments he made his plays in and also the way he made them.
Right.
He gained some tough yards after contact in between the tackles. He converted a 3rd down on the edge. He got the touchdown on the edge by lowering his shoulder and finishing a run. And that was as good as we've seen him play this year, and that's why he's the spotlight.
And I think we need to see James Cook involved in the offense. I think it opens things up for Josh. It opened things up for the run game. When you see a running back like James Cook who can be a pass catcher and who can get tough yards on the ground, when the team needed to get going, James Cook was there in spurts for a couple of the touchdown drives. Dalton Kincaid also got involved in some things as well, had a nice game himself. 8 receptions for 75 receiving yards, and we talked about heading into this game getting more people involved. We heard Josh Allen say, most of the time, my first look is going to be to Stefon Diggs because he's the best on our team. He usually provides us the best chance, but I think our offense operates at its best when we have a lot of guys involved. We saw some different players involved in this game. Stefon Diggs had 6 catches for 58 receiving yards, but it wasn't enough to get a win. How do you kind of make sense of that? Seeing different guys involved, but then Stefon Diggs not having the game that we've seen him have up until this point. I mean, in 5 of 6 games going into this one, he's had at least 100 receiving yards. He is the best weapon on the team, so you want to see him get involved. Josh Allen definitely threw his way. He had 12 targets, ends up with just 6 receptions in this one.
Yeah, you got to credit to the Patriots for taking Steph Diggs away. You knew they would be able to do that. They've always been one of the better teams in the league about making sure that a team that they're facing has to beat them in a way that they are not anticipating. You've got to have somebody other than your star players step up to beat you. Now, certainly a team like Buffalo presents problems to them because it's hard for them to take Josh Allen out of the game.
Right.
But they are very good at taking your top wide receiver out of the game. They're very good at taking a tight end out of the game. They're very good at taking a running back out of the game. Whichever weapon your team relies on, they are very good at taking that top guy away, and the Bills couldn't put it together enough. You saw Kincaid get involved this week. We've been talking about James Cook. They had a couple of guys contribute, but it wasn't enough to get them over the hump. And they've got to do more of that in the future because other teams, will do what they can to mimic what the Patriots got done against them today. The Bills still scored 25 points, only a couple less than their season average. But that was, they gave up 29, and they missed a couple of opportunities as well. And those are the things. The slow starts continue to give this team real problems and hamstring their ability to win.
They gave up 29 to a team that was averaging 12 points per game, ranked 31st in the NFL, one of the worst averages in the NFL. The Patriots also score 29 points. It was the first time all season they've gone over 21 points. Tough to hear that and say that against a defense in the Bills who, heading into this game, was one of the best in the NFL in a lot of different categories. I want to stay on the first half because the Bills now have scored 7 or fewer points in the first half in 3 straight games. They're averaging 3.3 points per first half in the last 3 games. And their averages, if you look at what they were averaging with points, passing yards, rushing yards, their third down conversion rate in the first half is very similar to the last 2 weeks. They had 99 passing yards in the first half, 30 rushing yards in the first half, and converted 33% of their third down attempts that they had to be able to convert to a first down. So averages that are way different than the first 4 weeks. We're talking about the last 3 weeks. A lot of these averages are pretty down. So First half, what was happening for this team? Why were they struggling so much on offense and then allowing points on defense as well?
Yeah, it couldn't have started worse for them. The first play out of the box, Josh throws an interception, and then the Patriots put together a 9-play drive for a field goal and a 7-play drive for a touchdown. You're down 10-0. You've run one offensive play. That's a bad start by any measure. And the fact that they had held the ball for 16 minutes on those first 2 possessions when the Bills had 1 play in there, that is the quintessential bad start. And nothing's going to change for the Bills until that does. So they've got to stay on the field early in these games and find a way to get first downs to give themselves some stability and to give them a handle on what the defense is doing. Right now, if it's taking them 2 or 3 series to get a handle on what the defense is throwing at them, that's into the halfway through the second quarter every week. So the more success they have early that can stay on the field, they'll get a handle on their defensive scheme that they're facing faster and be able to have more success subsequently to that. But when you have 1 play in the first quarter offensively, that's a pretty rough start.
Yeah, it was definitely a rough start for their first couple of drives there to get going. We're able to get things going in the second half, not necessarily the first half. Micah Hyde, one of our safeties, is at the podium right now, so we'll send it over to Micah.
Micah, if you could just walk us through that final drive. What in your mind went wrong out there?
Big plays. I think it was that 1st and 10 screen. We got to rally to it, get them down, and then couple other dink and dunk plays that they got, getting a field goal range, and then obviously they worked their way down the field. They worked the clock, and it's just poor execution by us as a defense, and so we got to do better.
It was an offense that had been struggling coming in this season. I know you guys look at it as a week-to-week league, but is there anything that you can point to just outside of just that last drive that maybe defensively didn't go your way today?
Yeah. I mean, a few things. Obviously, we gave felt like we gave too much in the first 2 drives. I got to look at the play-by-play to see, rushing yards and all that type of stuff. But just didn't play our brand of football today. Gave them a little bit too much. And obviously it comes down to that last drive. It's the NFL, man. Coming down to the last 2 minutes of the game, and you got to execute and get off the field. We just didn't do it.
It seems these scripted plays at the beginning of games the last couple of weeks have hurt you guys. Is that something you agree with?
I mean, I guess it's accurate. First couple games of the season, we spoke about that. They're scripted plays. You're trying to get a feel for what they're doing, and also defensively, you're trying to get off the field to get a takeaway. And the first 2 drives, we just weren't able to do that.
Micah, you're always good. It's week to week, and you flush the game and all. But when it's 3 weeks in a row that it's tough, are you concerned the way that this team is playing, or is that
3 weeks in a row being tough? What do you mean?
Just the fact that it's been 2 losses and a tough game last week. Where this team is at this point of the year,
100%.
Is that not fair to say? I'm not putting the word.
No. I mean, yeah, that's accurate. 2 losses and a close win. It's the NFL, man. This is week to week. You got to go out there and play your best ball each and every week, and then it's a matchup. It's a matchup league. Obviously, we know the Patriots pretty well. They know us really well. We knew that they were going to try to run the ball and keep our offense off the field, and we just weren't able to get off. So, no panic, none of that. It's a week-to-week league, like I said, and good thing we have a Thursday night game coming up, short week. We're able to flush this, learn from it, and you have another game coming up.
What do you think of Jordan's game? He had a sack and then that big forced fumble there.
Huge.
That gave you a chance.
Huge. Obviously, the sack was big, and then at the end of the game, them catching that ball, and I knowing Poe, I knew he was winding up to do that. He does that all the time. Obviously, you guys know in years past, and even in practice all the time, he does it, and was able to punch the football. A huge takeaway when we needed it the most. Was able to get the offense the ball back with great field position. They scored the go-ahead touchdown, and then obviously it's on us to do it again going back out there.
Under no circumstances am I asking you to point fingers or make excuses, but given the nature and the scope of the injuries you're dealing with and adjusting to, and then Oliver's out today, is there an adjustment? Are we watching a defensive adjustment, you guys adjusting to the reality of playing without those players? in game situations like this?
At the end of the day, injuries or not, we had an opportunity to win the game at the end, and we just needed to stop. It was total collective, I guess, failure by the defense of just not getting the ball back or not stopping them. So I'm not gonna, like you just said, I'm not gonna make excuses for the injuries and none of that. This is the life of an NFL player. You got to go out there, you got to compete each and every week, whether injuries or not. So, like I said, I'm happy we have a Thursday night game coming up.
Mike, what have you seen from him in the last couple of games? There's been a lot more play action from him in the last 2 matchups than before against you guys.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Just talk about some of the chunk plays. What have you kind of seen from the chances? There's been a lot more play action shots against.
You mean the Patriots?
Yeah.
Well, I think today they were just wasn't really pushing the ball down the field. It was kind of just screens and dink and dunk. So dink and dunk the way down the field. So that's what they do on us, and I think that it starts because we weren't able to stop the run, so they're able to do that.
Is there a right sense of urgency right now inside the locker room? I mean, without making sure it doesn't become panic. Is there a right amount of urgency right now?
No, I mean, I feel like each and every week is a new opportunity. I wouldn't say it's we're pressing the panic button and want to be urgent. Each and every game, you want to go out there. You want to have urgency. You want to have energy. You want to start the game fast and all that. And just wasn't able to do it today. Tough opponent. I don't care. We don't pay attention to records. Obviously, this is a divisional opponent, one of the best coaches to ever coach. He's going to have them boys ready, and we knew that coming in. So. The record and all that stuff didn't mean anything, and they weren't able to start fast, and they got us.
Okay, that was Bills safety Micah Hyde, and he was asked about, are you guys adjusting to, is this game and maybe the last couple of games on defense an adjustment to the guys that you don't have a part of the defense anymore, at least right now? Trey White, Matt Milano, Daquan Jones, 3 of the best defensive players at Oliver today, you're right. 4 of the best defensive players on this roster in their position groups not a part of this lineup. And Micah Hyde said, we're going to have injuries. We can't use that as an excuse. We have to be able to react and play to the best of our ability, regardless of who's on the field. But I think there is, us not being players, there is an adjustment period for this defense. Whether it happens in practices or throughout some games, it's probably going to bleed into some games when you're trying to figure out how to play without a couple of all-pros on your team and without Daquan Jones, who was one of the best defensive tackles next to Ed Oliver, really allowing Ed Oliver to blossom and do what he does best on defense and freeing things up for the defensive ends to go and rush the quarterback. So do you believe that in the last few games we have seen this team figuring out how to live life on defense without some of their best players?
Yeah, no question. And I think it's as big an adjustment for the coaching staff as it is for the players. The coaches know that there's going to be some situations where they want a certain combination on the field. I think in the past, early in the season, when they're at full strength and the depth of this roster, I don't think they cared who was on the field in some of the calls they made. You could put Daquan Jones and Jordan Phillips with Ed Oliver, with Tim Settle. Any of those guys would go out there and perform any defense they want. I think now there's a little bit more pick and choosing of what defensive call they're going to make in any given situation. Poona Ford has a different skill set than Ed Oliver and Daquan Jones. So you're going to have to make adjustments as a head coach and a defensive staff as to what you're able to do, particularly against every different opponent. So. Yeah, I think there's always some juggling on the coaching staff side of it as to what they're going to do and what they're not going to do and what opportunities they're going to give their players when they line them up and deploy their defensive schemes. But the players, for them, they're just running the play that's called, and they got to be their best at it. I don't think there's an adjustment for the players, except unless there's, like Jordan said, where Micah said he knew Jordan was going to do that play where he punched the ball. He just knows it, and he was kind of had his antennae up. Things like that will help you in a certain situation, but those are few and far between as opposed to running the play that's called, executing the play that's called, and getting the most out of it. That's a coaching staff's job.
And you hear a lot of the times, we use in the NFL at large, uses the first 6 weeks teams do to kind of figure out your identity from offense to defense. The first quarter of the season is about figuring out who you are and what you can do. Well, the Bills get through almost 6 weeks, and 3 of their best players on defense come off the field. Maybe they had who they were figured out in week 4, and then this all starts to change, and then your identity shifts. So it may take a few games for this defense to feel like, okay, now we know our new identity without these 3 best players on defense. I think they're capable of it. They have depth for a reason, and we've seen them be able to hang in games, allowing 29 points. Not the best, but they were still hanging in there at the end of things. Jordan Poyer is at the podium right now, so let's get over to him.
You guys, I'm having to think like your chances in that situation. How were they able to execute on that final drive and get down there and score?
Yeah, you just got to find a way to get a stop. Whether that's taking the football away, just playing better situational football. That's a situation that, you know, as a defense, we like to feel like we can thrive in. Those are the type of situations that you want to be in at the end of the game, to be able to close the game out for your team. Unfortunately, it wasn't that way today, and you know, good thing we got a short week, and we got to play on Thursday.
You've been in this locker room a long time. You have a good sense of, you know, what this team is feeling, and I guess, so how would you describe, you know, sort of the feeling inside that room right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough loss. I mean, anytime you lose in the NFL, it's tough. You put a lot of work in throughout the week to come out on top, and you know, anytime you lose, especially in the division, it's tough. But like I said, we got a short week this week, and you know, I know we'll find a way to bounce back.
What did you see on that play that you were able to force the fumble? Obviously, that looked like it could have been a game changer. Just walk us through that if you could.
Yeah, just trying to find a way to get the ball back to our offense and give us a chance. You know, we hadn't had a takeaway all game, and you know, just trying to make a play on the football. The ball presented itself, and I was able to just punch it clean.
Jordan, you see Gesicki come onto the field there at the end when you're down on the goal line. That's a tough guy to have a good matchup for, right?
I mean, it is, yeah. I mean, he's 6'4", 6'5", and he's a big target. You know, we came after him. We came after him, and you know, he just made a good throw and catch. You know, that's the game of football.
You probably could have expected that they would challenge you on the ground with Ed and Daquan out, but Mac was able to have some success through the air. Anything that you can kind of point to? I know you probably want to watch the film, but why were they able to throw the ball as they were today?
Yeah, I think when you have that success on the ground, it just opens up the pass game, whether it's, you know, the play action or the boot game. You know, because then you start getting guys playing downhill, and then they're able to throw some routes behind the underneath defenders. So you know, coming into each game, understanding that we got to be able to stop the run to make a team one-dimensional. And we weren't able to do that today. They were able to run the ball, and then it helped with their play action game and their boot game.
A couple of times they threw short and were able to turn them into bigger plays with tackling. Just your assessment of that for the unit overall today.
We just got to continue to work on tackling, tackle better.
Jordan, you've been through everything with this team. You know, the young guys obviously look to the captains and to you guys. What do you say? What do you say to your teammates at this point?
This is a long season. This is a very long season. 4-3, maybe not where we wanted to be at the beginning of the year, but we got a short week this week, and the games are going to keep coming. No reason to sulk into this one and turn one loss into 2. You know, we'll hit it on the plane, watch the tape on the plane, and tomorrow we're on to the Tampa Bay. So this is a long season. You just make sure that you don't want to turn one loss into 2 losses, especially on a short week. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jordan.
All right, that was Bills safety Jordan Poyer talking about, hey, it's a short week. This season is going to be long. We're going to watch the tape on the way home, and then we're going to get right into Bucs week, which is Thursday night football here at Highmark Stadium. And Steve, just thinking about the maturation level and the veterans on this team, I feel like early in Josh Allen's days as a starter, especially when this team was starting to win games consistently and looked at as a consistent playoff contender. They are 4-3 to start the season. Maybe people are, you know, what's happening to this team? Josh Allen, he's the guy. This team is supposed to be really good. I look at 4-3 and I think, like Jordan Poyer said, hey, maybe not where we wanted to be. Obviously, we'd like to have more wins in the win column and not 3 losses here through 7 weeks. But I look at the locker room. I look at the maturation, the maturity level in that locker room and the veterans on this team. And it doesn't seem like this team is in freak-out mode at all. Not that they shouldn't be at all, because it is a long season. And we've heard now Micah and Jordan say that of like, hey, we're through the first quarter of the season. There's plenty of games left. And, you know, we believe that we can figure things out here, because it's not like the playoffs are going to happen tomorrow or next week. We've got time. We know who we are, and we'll continue to lean on that.
Yeah, there's no question. They've got enough talent to win games, and they've got to feel like, and like most players do, like it's on us. You know, there's certainly enough plays there to be made. Today they ran into a really well-coached team in New England that really executed at a high level. And let's face it, New England knows it. Their margin of error is razor thin. And spotting them 10 points the way the Bills did is a way to lose. And that's exactly what happened. You spot a team 10 points in the National Football League, that's a deep hole. And the Bills finally did climb out of it. But even then, they didn't have enough to shut the door on what the Patriots wanted to do right at the end of the game. And this is a team right now that's struggling offensively from what we've seen them in the past. And the Patriots came up with a new way to try and get through to Josh, sent some free rushers all day, and had Josh was avoiding the rush all day. And it wasn't that they weren't blocking up, it's that they were sending extra guys. Somebody in the back end's got to break loose. If they're sending more guys than you can block, they're down a man in the back end. And we didn't see the benefit of that unless you talk about James Cook and Dalton Kincaid.
Right.
And they had good days, but they didn't snap
Not
off any
enough.
big plays.
Yeah, definitely. More big plays happened on the Patriots end of things than it happened on the Bills end of things, on offense at least. Josh Allen tried for some big plays, but it didn't work out in terms of connecting on them consistently. We will now go to Chris Brown for our insider's take. He was at the game. He's going to tell us a little bit more about what he saw through his lens.
The Bills' performance against the Patriots at Gillette Stadium played like a broken record as the offense sleepwalked through the first half. That, coupled with penalties and miscues, including a missed field goal, put the Bills behind for most of this game. And even though the offense woke up late to give them a 3-point lead with 2 minutes remaining, Buffalo's defense allowed the second lowest scoring offense in football to march 75 yards for a game-winning touchdown and a 29-25 loss to drop the Bills to 4-3 on the season. At Gillette Stadium, I'm Chris Brown for Bills Postgame Live.
All right, thanks, Chris Brown. This week's game against the Patriots is presented by Ticketmaster. Ticketmaster is the official ticket marketplace of the NFL, and we're going to continue on with some more locker room sound. Dawson Knox is up next.
Didn't see the guy behind me put his helmet around the ball and got it free. Sorry, Dawson. What do you attribute to other slow starts? Yeah, again, I think it's just something we'll evaluate in the film room. If we knew it, if we knew what the problem was, or if we knew why we were starting slow, we would have, done something. But again, that's a good defense. They got talent all over the place. They came in well prepared for us, and we made some good adjustments at halftime, but it's a short week this week, so we got to get in, get the corrections, and move on from it.
It seemed like when you guys went tempo, a little 2-minute, things started to pick up for you. Was there a specific reason why you think that is? And it's something maybe you look at, maybe even going forward, that you could utilize more?
Yeah, for sure. We kept things simple. Just things that we've done 1,000 times, repped, thousands of times, just in practice, fall camp, OTA. So I think just getting everyone in a rhythm, keeping it simple, look good out there. But then again, you never know if that's going to work every game.
Albeit, I know it's in a loss, I'm sorry, but to see Dalton have the game that he had, for the first time, that kind of production, what does that say for you guys and do for you as a running mate there?
Yeah, it was awesome. Definitely a bright part of the game, if any. But he's a weapon to be used. So hopefully that'll just continue to keep his confidence up. Just the more weapons we got on offense, the more we can spread the ball around, the more versatile we're gonna be, the harder it is to, defend every part. But definitely happy for him. Hopefully that'll just continue building.
I know you said if you knew what the answers were, they wouldn't be happening. Do you feel it's the same stuff, though, that's kind of compounding, and maybe you're still searching to figure out how to eliminate those?
Yeah, I think it's just a week-by-week league. Again, they got a good defense, very well coached. They had a great plan for us. We came out with some good halftime adjustments and started getting the ball moving. But again, if we knew what the answers were, we be in this position. So we're just going to get the film. Again, it's a short week. Just got to move on pretty quickly.
Dawson, this is 2 weeks in a row now against teams that came in with one win, where you guys basically went to the last play. You know, 3 weeks in a row now with the offense. Is there now a recalibration of where you guys are at? Maybe what the work is required to get where you want to go this year?
I think all we're doing is focusing on getting the corrections from this game and then focusing on our next game on Thursday night. So it's not trying to project where we're going to land, you know, seeding for the playoffs, for the division. No one's doing that. So we just got to focus on today, tomorrow, and then this next game coming up.
I think more there's a caliber this team's been used to. You know, are you still confident you're still at that caliber?
Yeah, I mean, we got a standard we want to uphold. You know, I don't feel like anything's changed. Every team in the league's good. Again, it's just a week-by-week league. We got to focus on us and our execution.
Is it somewhat easier to maybe get past this game and look towards Thursday since it is a short turnaround?
Yeah, for sure. Anytime you got a tough game like that, being able to move forward quickly, being able to get that taste out of your mouth, it's always a good thing. So we're definitely going to be looking forward to getting on the field Thursday night.
Dawson, can you put your finger on it's taking the offense longer than usual? It's uncharacteristic, really, in the last 3 games to find answers, to respond to whatever defenses are doing to you guys. Can you put your finger on that? Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, I feel like I've answered this 3 or 4 times now, but
All right, that was Dawson Knox, and he had a touchdown taken off the board as the Bills were heading into the second quarter, the end of the first quarter as time expired, taken off the board because of an offensive pass interference call. Dawson had 3 targets, ended up with 1 catch for 10 yards. Did have that 2-point conversion, which was good, but would have loved to see that touchdown actually count for the Bills, because you start to add up points and then you can play the game of, well, that play could have determined the game and this play could have determined the game. What would you like to see more out of Dawson Knox involvement-wise in the offense here?
Yeah, I think he's involved about the amount you'd want him to. I just wish he was a more efficient catcher. He dropped one today. One got knocked out of his hands on a crucial 4th down conversion that would have been good. Looked like he had it, then got hit and the ball came out. Other than that, he made some plays that really were crucial. On a 1st and 10, he gets down for a 1st and goal situation, caught the touchdown and even though the play was called back, had the 2-point conversion. He's exactly where you want. You want him in tough spots, in tight throws. But like I said, there was a couple of passes that were on the ground again today that, you know, that's always kind of been the criticism of Dawson, is that even though he makes some great plays and some big plays, every once in a while the ball's on the ground too much.
To start the season, too, through 7 games, this team is ranking differently in a couple of categories that I want to point out than they have been, I would say, in the last couple of years. Right now they rank, or heading into this game, they ranked 20th with 20 plays of 20 or more yards on offense, and then on defense they are allowing the 2nd most plays of 20 or more yards, 27 plays of 20 or more yards heading into this game. They did allow a few more in this one. Why do you think that's happening on offense? Josh Allen just not being able to connect on some of those big plays, and running backs not being able to break free for those plays of 20 or more yards. And then on defense, why they've been allowing quite a few big plays, because this defense, when I look at their identity leading into this year, it was not allowing the big plays, and they do seem to be doing that a little bit more this season, at least to start the year. Most
of the big plays they've allowed have been because of a missed tackle here and there. They just had a guy that fell off a tackle, and the guy, and that was it. The guy snapped off a big play because of it. That's one thing. For the Bills' offense, I think one of the things people are doing exactly to the Bills' offense what the Bills have had success doing against the Kansas City Chiefs when they had Tyreek Hill. They did it against the Miami Dolphins. They keep a lid on it. They keep 2 high safeties almost constantly.
They don't really let you do it.
And they don't let you do it. And also today, the Patriots did, like we said, a little something different. They always had a guy running free on Josh. Somebody was coming usually up the middle to pressure Josh, and he was getting off the edge. A couple of times where one time he tried to bootleg out and the guy was there waiting on him. So they anticipated his movement extremely well. And I think they married their back end to that as well. So they knew they were going to get pressure on one side or the other and married their coverage to that to make sure that Josh would have nowhere to throw the football. And that's the frustrating thing about it. When you've got a team that absolutely knows you can really beat them badly with a big play. Keeping the lid on it is paramount. And that's what the Bills have been facing throughout this season.
Yeah, it's interesting that the Patriots chose to act on defense in that way, knowing that Josh, at least heading into this game, was one of the best against the blitz. Really high passer rating, no interceptions, 5 passing touchdowns to start the season against the blitz. But when he faced pressure today and when he had a free rusher coming at him, a couple of those decisions got sped up. Not as many connections, at least balls completed, to players on offense, maybe that we have seen in the past. All right, Steve, through 7 games now, this team is 4-3. Tough loss against the Patriots, have been in a couple of close games the last 3 games. Not really the identity of the team that we at least saw to start the season when they were averaging over 30 points a game and things were looking great, and it was like, oh, this team is firing on all cylinders. Now they hit a little rough patch in weeks 5, 6, and 7. Week number 8 is going to be Thursday night game against the Bucs. Where does this team go from here? You've been on teams where you have had great rosters who have faced rough patches in season.
Absolutely.
What happens in the locker room? What happens in practices
it's
now?
your leadership, both the player side in the locker room and also in the coaching staff. The coaching staff has to get these guys, give them a plan they can feel confident about, give them something to get their feet under them and have some success. And then once a talented team starts to have success, it steamrolls and they can take over from there. But a coaching staff really needs to jumpstart them, I think, with the success. And today, it was this year it's been the offensive side that has stumbled in the games that they have struggled in. Now, the defense up until today has played extremely well throughout. This is the first time where the defense really gave up any significant amount of points, 29 points to a Patriot team who had struggled until today, this season. The offense has really been the story for the Bills and their struggles. We've put it up to slow starts, and they have shown flashes late in games, even last week against the Giants, where they didn't score until the 4th quarter and then pulled out the victory, and with 2 touchdowns. And today, where the final drive, where they scored with less than 2 minutes to go, and with a 5-point lead, turned it over to their defense, and then the Patriots offense had made some hay against the Bills defense. So up until today, it has been the offense that has struggled. And I think the defense finishing games is really what you ask of them. Get some turnovers, get some sacks, make some big plays, and then finish the game. And that's really where the defense today is going to sit back and go, man, this was ours to win, and we couldn't do it on that last drive. The offensive struggles, and I'll say it again, on both sides of the football, you can hang this as a really game in which both sides of the ball struggled. And it comes down to the leadership in the locker room. The best players, the most important players have to lead this team out of it. And the coaching staff has to give both sides of the ball something they can hang their hat on. Certainly the health of the team is a consideration, but not for the players and not for the coaches. We said this defensive identity is something completely different today than it has been before they were injured.
Right.
And perhaps the result is a result of those injuries. But it also is a time to relearn what you can do defensively and what you can do offensively. And you got to do it going forward. There's no going back now. So leadership from the player side and the coaching side. And then, you got to do what you can do with the players you have. Certainly the injuries are going to be a factor for every team. You got to make them not count. You got to make those injuries irrelevant.
Yeah, with those injuries on defense, you look at what the Bills lost and you think, all right, offense, the ball is in your court. You're going to be the one to finish out these games to put points on the scoreboard. So maybe when the defense doesn't have those guys, they don't need to operate as they were operating with those 3 really great players. They can do their job, still maybe be one of the best in the NFL, but maybe not as good as they were with Matt Milano, Daquan Jones, and Tre'Davious White. And it's nothing against the guys that are on the team on defense. They're still a great group, but those 3 guys did add a lot to the level that the defense could play. You talk about finishing this game on the defense's end of things. The last drive that the Patriots had, touchdown drive, 8 plays, 75 yards, took less than 2 minutes to score. Is it I need to be more aggressive on defense when they do have less than 2 minutes to go, and we do need to keep them out of the red zone and keep them from scoring here?
Well, they certainly were not aggressive. It didn't look to me like on those last drives, and that's something, you know, it's difficult to execute in those situations for every team. And you kind of play to that as a defense. You got to make them execute some really difficult concepts under pressure. The Patriots were able to do it, and the Bills really didn't put them under the kind of stress you'd like to see them, where they, you know, where you have to pat the ball. The ball came out on time. They snapped off a play, of an explosive play right out of the gate, which gave them a chance down close, and that's always a really bad way to start a drive.
So maybe that's something you can learn from too, especially those last drives when you need to keep points off of the scoreboard. All right, head coach Sean McDermott is speaking to reporters right now. Let's hear his thoughts about this Week 7 loss.
Just not enough. We didn't do enough. You know, we didn't put them in position enough. I didn't put the defense in position enough, and then just overall didn't play complementary football. You know, when you look in the first half, 2 short fields, I think led to 10 points. First play on offense, interception, punt return, and good field position, I think led to 10 points. And then, you know, too many yards on first down for their offense, and not getting them into enough third down and long situations where we could affect the quarterback more. And you know, they did a good job controlling the line of scrimmage early in the game and with their running game, and you know, we tried to make some adjustments, which I think paid off. Just, you know, red zone wise as well, offensively, we're down there. You got to get 7, and we were shooting ourselves in the foot at times and put in some third and long situations. So, you know, and then just overall got to close the game out. And when it comes down to it, got to close the game out. So just better overall tackling fundamentally. Defensively, we've got to do a better job there. That starts with me. So with that, I'll open up to your questions.
Over the last 3 games, you guys have a total of 10 points in the first half. Have you been able to put your finger on anything for the slow start here?
I wish I could tell you. Joe, I really do. I wish I could tell you. We talk about it. You know, we talk about being, you know, more detailed, getting into a rhythm early, playing complementary football, and you know, all 3 phases working together. And you know, we haven't got, you know, been able to get into a good rhythm. Obviously, in the first quarter. Let's just start there, right? And you know, so just overall, got to find the answers there.
The offense does get you the lead there late, under 2 minutes. Defensively, to not be able to hold them in that situation, just what's the collective sort of frustration level there with them being able to get down the field in that amount of time?
Yeah, I think the first play was a huge play for them, right? They throw a screen. We're in 4 under 3 deep defense, and we didn't do enough to leverage the formation and make the tackle where we needed to make it. Though they can't. I think it was a 34-yard gain, 34-yard gain, and that's all of a sudden now it's. You know, you take the field and you're saying, hey, they got, you know, under 2 minutes there, and I think they had 2 timeouts at the time, and so they could run it, they could draw, they could screen early, and they did. And we got to be better, just not allowing it to do what it did to us. 34 yards is unacceptable, and so I think part of that is leveraging the formation. They got into a 4-by-1 set and making a tackle, and then. After that, it's, hey, they got the ball wherever they had it. I think it was over midfield, and still a timeout or 2 there, and so they could run it, they could throw it, and it makes it tough right there. But at the end of the day, you know, we got to do a better job.
Sean, despite the struggles in all 3 areas today, is your confidence level in this locker room still really high that they can really correct things quickly?
Yes, yeah, it is. I'm confident in our players. I'm confident in our coaches. You know, again, they controlled the game today, and that's the game that they wanted to play in terms of, you know, putting us into some third and long situations, getting us off schedule, you know, and then minimizing their third down exposures, in particular third and longs.
Vaughn is 3 games back now. He's been held off the stat sheet in all those games. He just said in the room he's only had 3 padded practices. In your mind, is he where you would expect him to be right now, or you know, just where do you think he is?
Well, I think you got to manage expectations, right? You're talking about a player, a human being coming off of an ACL last Thanksgiving, somewhere thereabouts, and you know, it's going to take some time, and I think that's just being realistic about it.
Sean, do you think, you're 4-3, there's still plenty of season to go, but are you maybe at a crossroads right now that, this has got to, it's like an inflection point at this point. Do you feel that way?
Well, we've got to continue to find answers to some of the reasons why we're stubbing our toe, whether it's the first half of the game. We're not playing complimentary football. I mean, we missed a field goal, 42-yard field goal. I mean, those are things we've got to do, and so we're beating ourselves at times, and we're not linking up all three phases to control a game and put an offense, in this case, into a true one-dimensional situation. And that's the goal of every game, where you can get a little bit of a lead, and then you can go into it and say, hey, now we can really rush and cover, and that's somewhat of the disappointing thing in the last drive, although that screen kind of got in the way there, right, in terms of a true one-dimensional situation. So, but we got to continue to figure it out, continue to make plays when the plays are there to be made, and put the players in position to be successful.
You mentioned the kicking game. It started out red hot this season. Has really been hurting in the last 2 weeks. What do you think have been the source of some of those inconsistencies these past 2 weeks?
At the end of the day, not good enough. I mean, we missed a couple kicks the last couple of games, and then a couple of returns have shown up on us this year as well. So we got to figure that out as well.
John, for with the slow starts, this is the second straight week you've said you wanted to get into a rhythm. So, what does in rhythm look like to you?
I think it starts, Joe, with staying on schedule, winning first down so you can stay on schedule, so you can move the chains. You look at their offense; they did that today. They won first down. They stayed on schedule. They stayed out of third and long for the most part during the day, and then when you do that, you're playing two-dimensionally on offense, and that's when it gets to be hard to call a game against a two-dimensional offense, when you're on schedule, winning first downs, or skipping third downs, or even putting us into a third down and short to medium at most. Too many off schedule situations.
Do you need to be more involved? Do you need to be more involved on offense, and is that even possible with how much you have to do on the defensive side?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I oversee all three phases. So we have communication across all three phases with myself, special teams, myself, offense, and but collectively we got to continue to find answers.
Bringing in Tyrell for Dorian late in the second quarter and kind of keeping him in after half, what went into that decision? Something you weren't seeing from Dorian?
Yeah, just overall, we were giving up a few plays right there and at that position, and just wanted to try and calm it down a little bit.
Going forward, still kind of figuring that out. Right,
we've got to evaluate that, and we'll do that. I know it's a short week, but we'll do that. Still confident, extremely confident in Dorian.
What did you see out of Dalton Kincaid today?
Yeah, I didn't get the stats in terms of, but he looked like he was, had more targets today over the middle of the defense and in man end zone, and I was excited to see that. We've got to continue to do that.
Sean, you talk a lot. Sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
No, go ahead, Josh.
Sean, you talk a lot often about earning the right to win. What do you need to do differently, and even if it's like maybe during the week, to get back to earning the right to win?
Well, I would say, big picture-wise, it starts with just getting off the field on defense on third down, and it starts with playing better complementary football, winning first down on offense. And I'm going to repeat myself, but that's how you win in this league. If you're not giving up big plays defensively, you got to get off the field on third down. And then offensively, we've got to be able to win first down so that we're not in off-schedule situations, whether it be second and long or third and long. And the kicking game has got to help us with field position. And so that's really a big picture answer, I know, but that's really holistically how you control a game.
Did it feel like that your team was inspired to come out early in this game?
I felt like they were ready to go. Yeah, I felt like they were ready to go. I mean, obviously when you start, the way we did, they get a field goal. Our first play from offense is an interception. I mean, that's tough to do, in particular on the road. So we had to rebound from it.
Where's your confidence level right now with Ken Dorsey and his ability to turn this thing around?
Yeah, I'm confident in Ken.
Hey, Sean, you've been in this league a long time. You have a lot of captains who've been in this league a long time. How much will you lean on them this week with the quick turnaround to say, hey, how can you help the players get through this?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is leadership and energy this week too, getting our energy back, ready to go at home against a good football team.
Sean, did you get a sense that Josh's shoulder was a factor at all?
No, I didn't get that sense, Adam, and I know he's a little bit sore right now, but nothing in addition to what he was before going into the game.
Sean, earlier this year, you said when we asked about Josh's confidence, I think it was after the Jets game, you said you always keep an eye on that and where he is. Where would you say his confidence is, and is that something you're concerned about at all?
Confidence in himself, in the offense.
Production of the offense.
Yeah, I mean, we talk weekly, Josh and I do, and I always feel like, you know, I'm on the pulse, or his pulse in this case, and you know, we've got a good rapport, and so those communications will continue, and you know, to this point, I feel like he's confident.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Sean.
All right, Ticketmaster is the presenting sponsor of the Buffalo Bills 2023 season. Ticketmaster is the official ticket marketplace of the NFL. And Steve, short week for the Bills here as they play on Thursday night. Sean McDermott saying that they need to get their energy back ahead of this Thursday night game. How do you do that when you have just a few days to ramp up for that Thursday night football game? It's a short week. It's probably going to be tough to, not saying that they can't do that, but you only have a certain amount of time to figure out what you need to correct and what you need to do before another team comes in here for the next week.
Right. They'll keep them off their feet quite a bit. They have walkthrough practices. There won't be any full speed stuff. It'll be strictly watching, learning, walking through, getting your plays, and putting the game plan in at a walking pace. Meetings will be kept to a different schedule, and you know they'll tell these guys to get in bed early. There's no question about it. Now the game is at home. That gives them they don't have to travel on Wednesday, which is a plus because Tampa Bay will be coming in here on Wednesday. So it's there is a process for this that they're all very familiar with. They play a Thursday night game. They play them quite often, maybe once or twice a year. The Bills do. So this group is familiar with it. All the guys who are veterans have done it, and it just for a loss like this, it's better because you can't think about it. We got to move on. Fans can chew on this for the next 3 days because this is a gut punch of a loss for the Bills fans.
And it's tough because it's in Division 2. You want to win these games. These games mean a lot. This game was also Bill Belichick's 300th win. I know we would have loved to keep him at 299 for as long as possible, but unfortunately this is a loss for the Bills. They'll have to go back to the drawing board, and you're in a division where the Dolphins are winning games too, and who knows when Aaron Rodgers is going to be back and ready to go for the Jets, so these games really do matter. Oh,
no question. This is a devastating loss for this point of the season. You go to 4-3, you're on an odd number of games that you've played, you're at 500. 3-4, 4-3. I mean, that's and they've looked good in 3 of their 7 games. 3. 2, 3, and 4 weeks. 2, 3, and 4, they look good. In weeks 1, 4, 5, and 6, they have not looked good at all. Or 5, 6, and 7. They have not looked good at all, offensively anyway. And you know, with a team like this, it does seem to be, and you can call it a million things, but there's a missing ingredient right now, and the Bills are going to have to search themselves of trying to find
figure out where that missing ingredient is. Sean McDermott's saying he still has confidence in this team. I think we still have confidence too. I mean, there's still a lot of hope here. This team is too good. We know this team is too good to be playing at the level that they played at today. They can't do that consistently because we know what they have on offense and defense.
And the players and coaches are, of course, but Bills fans, too, are bitterly disappointed by a game like this. You feel like this could have been a get-right game, get the things back on track. And notoriously, in years past, and Brownie and I have spoken about this a lot, this has been a really good team at course-correcting, getting back on track, answering a loss with a win. And this year, while they did answer a loss with a win last week, it was an ugly win, and this is an ugly loss. So it doesn't seem to be getting better, despite what the results might be. Ugly win last week, ugly loss this week. It's 3 really rough outings for the offense, at least.
couple of ugly weeks, so hopefully this upcoming week can be nice, pretty, get-right week for the Buffalo Bills, because we know that it can happen. We know what this team has on offense and defense. We've seen it at a high level already this season. We've seen it consistently in years past. They just need to get back on that right track. All right, we're going to close it up from here. For Steve Tasker, I'm Maddy Glab. If you guys want more post-game elements, sound, highlights, all of that analysis, you can tune into MSG at 11 o'clock tonight for Bills Tonight. We will see you then, and we will also see you back here next week. Have a good night, everybody.